Rian opened his eyes slowly. The bright light above the ceiling hurt his eyes, and for a moment he could not remember where he was. His head throbbed slightly, and the room felt strange. He tried to sit up, but his body was stiff, as if he had slept in one position for a long time. The walls around him were smooth and white, unlike anything he had seen on Earth. A low hum of machinery filled the room. He blinked several times, trying to understand what had happened. Then he saw her. A girl stood beside his bed. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin glowed softly with a pale light, and her eyes were large and round, reflecting colors he could not name. Her hair floated slightly, as if it moved in slow motion, even though the air was still. She looked at him with curiosity and caution, tilting her head to one side. Rian froze. His mind raced. Who was she? How did she get here? Every warning he had learned in his years as a scientist screamed at him to stay calm and observe. He took a deep breath and tried to speak. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice hoarse. The girl did not answer. She only smiled softly, and then a strange feeling filled Rian's mind. It was as if her thoughts were touching his own. He recoiled at first, feeling confused and invaded, but the sensation was not threatening. It was gentle, calm, and full of curiosity. "You are afraid," he heard in his mind, not in his ears. He looked around, wondering if someone else was speaking. Then he realized it was her. She was communicating without words. I am," he admitted, uncertain if this method of communication would work. The girl tilted her head again. Her eyes shone like liquid gems. Slowly, she extended her hand, palm up towards him. Her touch promised safety. Rian felt a strange sense of trust. He reached out and took her hand. It was warm, softer than anything he had felt before. He could feel a heartbeat, a rhythm that was not human, yet not alien in a way that frightened him. "Why are you here?" he asked carefully. The girl's eyes reflected a deep sadness. Images filled his mind, flashes of distant stars, ruined worlds, and ships moving silently through space. Rian saw a galaxy that was vast and full of dangers, more dangerous than he could imagine. Then the images shifted to show a planet full of humans, ordinary people living ordinary lives. Unaware of what was coming, Rian pulled back slightly, overwhelmed by the flood of visions. "I don't understand," he whispered. She shook her head gently and touched his forehead. Instantly, he felt calmer. He understood a small part of her message. She was not here to hurt him. She had a purpose, something important, something he could not yet grasp. Rian got out of bed slowly. The floor beneath him was cool, and his steps echoed in the empty room. The girl followed silently, moving gracefully, almost as if she floated above the ground. He noticed her small frame and delicate features. Looked young, like a child, but there was an intelligence in her eyes that made him pause. "Where did you come from?" he asked. The girl pointed toward the ceiling, then made a gesture that suggested the stars. Rian understood she had come from space, but that alone did not explain why she was here. His mind raced with questions, but before he could speak again, she pulled out a small device from what looked like a pouch on her belt. It was unlike anything he had seen. Smooth, round, and glowing with faint light. She pressed it, and a holographic map appeared in front of them, showing a network of stars connected by lines. Rian's eyes widened. He recognized some of the star systems from his own research, but most of them were unknown to him. The girl tapped a particular star and then touched him lightly on the shoulder. Suddenly, he saw images of ships approaching a planet that looked very familiar. It was the one he was stationed on. Humans were visible in the visions, walking around, unaware of the approaching danger. Rian swallowed hard. He had seen simulations like this before, but never like this. Never real. Never so immediate. You are warning me," he asked. The girl nodded. Then she looked at him with wide eyes, as if begging him to understand something deeper. Rian felt a rush of emotion, fear, awe, and a strange hope. For a moment, they stood in silence. The hum of the machinery filled the space between them, but Rian felt a connection with this strange visitor from the stars. Her presence was calming and frightening at the same time. He realized that whatever was about to happen, it would change everything. Rian decided to test her. He reached out and asked in his mind, "Can you speak?" To his surprise, words appeared in his mind, not through her mouth but directly as thoughts. "Yes," she replied, "I speak through minds. I feel thoughts, and you can feel mine." Rian nodded slowly. It was overwhelming, but also incredible. He had studied alien communication for years, but never experienced something like this. It was personal, immediate, and intimate. "What is your name?" he asked carefully. She hesitated for a moment, then sent a single word into his mind. "Eerie, eerie," he repeated softly, testing the sound. She nodded with a small smile. He felt a warmth spread in his chest at the simplicity of the name. She was more human than he could have guessed, yet completely alien. The two spent the next hour exploring this new form of communication. Rian learned that Eerie could sense emotions, memories, and intentions. She could also share images and sensations, which allowed him to see faraway places and events as if he were there. He saw forests on distant planets, oceans glowing under strange suns, and cities built with technology beyond human imagination. At first, the flood of information was too much. Rian staggered, almost falling, but Eerie caught him, her strength delicate but firm. He felt the bond forming between them, trust, understanding, and a shared sense of purpose. Then, suddenly, a warning alarm sounded from the lab. Red lights flashed on the walls. Rian's heart pounded. Hairy sensors detected movement outside the room. He ran to the window and saw his research team approaching, their faces filled with shock. They had seen Eerie, and their fear was immediate. Rian raised his hands, trying to calm them. "She is not dangerous," he shouted, though the words felt weak. "She is trying to help us," but the team hesitated. Her training told them to contain unknown life forms. Rian knew that if they reacted aggressively, it could frighten Eerie and make the situation worse. Eerie reached out to Rian again, sending him calm waves of thought. "They will understand," she conveyed. "You must show them, not fight them." Rian nodded and stepped forward. He took a deep breath and spoke slowly to the team, explaining the visions he had seen and the warning she had brought. His words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with urgency. The team listened, unsure at first. But the sincerity in Rian's voice and the strange glow of Eerie began to convince them. By the end of the explanation, the team stood quietly, looking at Eerie with a mixture of wonder and fear. They could see she was different, but she did not threaten them. Her calm presence and the strange connection with Rian made it clear that she had come with a purpose. Rian felt a surge of responsibility. If he could understand Eerie, if he could trust her, perhaps they could prevent the danger looming over their planet. But he also knew the challenge ahead would be immense. He had no idea how the galaxy worked, how Eerie's species operated, or what exactly was coming, yet for the first time in his life, he felt a spark of hope. Humans had always survived against impossible odds. Perhaps now, with Eerie's guidance, they could do it again. Rian looked at Eerie and nodded. "We will face this together," he thought. She smiled, and for a moment all fear melted away. They were two strangers from different worlds, united by a shared mission and an unspoken understanding. The journey was beginning. Neither of them knew how far it would take them. As the sun rose over the desert planet outside, casting long shadows over the research station, Rian felt the first hint of determination. He had woken up alone, and now he was not. An alien girl had come into his life, and her reason, though mysterious, was about to change everything. Rian could not stop thinking about Eerie, the way she had appeared beside him in the lab. The calm warmth she radiated, and the strange images she had shared in his mind filled his thoughts. He tried to focus on the tasks of the research station, but every sound, every shadow, reminded him of her presence. By midday, he found her waiting for him in the small common area of the station. She sat cross-legged on the floor, her glowing skin bright against the plain white walls. She was watching him with curiosity, as if she had expected him to arrive. "You came," she said in his mind. The words were calm, almost musical. "Yes," he replied aloud, sitting opposite her. "I need to understand. Why are you here? What is happening?" Eerie tilted her head and reached out. This time she did not touch him physically. Instead, he felt her thoughts pressing gently against his mind, guiding him. Images of distant worlds appeared again, but now they were clearer. He saw cities that seemed alive, buildings that moved like trees in the wind, and people with shapes and colors he could barely describe. "These are the places I come from," she explained in his mind. "Many worlds exist, and many are in danger. Your people. Your kind is unique." Rian leaned back, astonished. "Unique? How?" "We are just humans. We are not the strongest, the fastest, or the most intelligent. Why would you think we are special?" Eerie smiled softly, a small flicker of light across her glowing skin. "Because humans are unpredictable. Humans can think, feel, and act in ways others cannot. That is why I am here. You can help save more than just your planet." Rian swallowed hard. The weight of her words settled on him like a stone. She was not joking. She had come to rely on humans. She had come to rely on him. For the next several hours, Rian and Irie explored the limits of her abilities. She could project images directly into his mind, show him memories, and even teach him small tricks of perception. He saw her homeworld as a garden of light, with floating cities and oceans that shimmered with energy. He saw alien ships moving silently through the void, and in every scene, a sense of danger lurked. "You can see all this?" Rian asked, amazed. "Yes," she replied. "But you are learning quickly. Most humans would be lost in the first images. You can focus, you can think. That is why I trust you." Rian felt both pride and fear. The pride came from knowing that his species had something special. The fear came from realizing that danger was closer than he wanted to admit. As he learned from Eerie, she also learned from him. She watched his movements, his expressions, and the way he thought. She was fascinated by his ability to improvise, to solve problems without following patterns. Every small action he took seemed to astonish her. She laughed at his jokes, even the ones that did not make sense, and frowned when he grew frustrated. By evening, Rian decided to show Eerie around the research station. He guided her through corridors filled with equipment, sensors, and strange machines designed to study the planet. Eerie moved with ease, her small frame slipping through narrow spaces and floating over uneven floors. She touched the machines gently, her glowing hands leaving faint trails of light on the surfaces. "Your technology is primitive compared to mine," she said in his mind. "But you humans find clever ways to make it work. You invent, adapt, and survive." Rian smiled. "We do our best," he said aloud. "Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. But we try." Ri nodded. "That is enough. Trying is what matters. That is why humans are special." They stopped in front of a large window that overlooked the desert landscape. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Eerie stared in awe, her glowing eyes reflecting the colors. "This is beautiful," she said softly in his mind. "It is," Rian agreed. "It looks different, depending on where you are from." Eerie turned to him, her expression serious. "Rian, the beauty here is a reason to protect it. That is why I came. My people have watched many worlds fall because no one acted. I cannot act directly, but you can. Humans can." Rian felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. He had spent years studying the universe, thinking about the dangers that might exist. But he had never imagined he would be entrusted with such a task. "Show me what I need to do," he said quietly. Eerie's eyes brightened. She touched a small device she had brought from her ship. A holographic map appeared, showing the position of several fleets moving through space. He recognized one planet clearly. It was their station's home planet. Ships were approaching, moving with precision, but not with the chaotic patterns of human battle. They were organized, controlled, and deadly. "They are coming for your people," Irie explained. "They want to control or destroy what humans create. I cannot stop them alone. You can." Rian studied the map carefully. He had seen simulations of alien attacks before, but this was real. The danger was immediate. The ships were closer than he expected, and their trajectory suggested they would reach the planet within days, What can I do? He asked. Eerie smiled faintly. You must use your mind, your creativity, and your courage. I will guide you, but humans are different. You can do what others cannot. Rian felt a spark of hope. Despite the fear, despite the unknown, he realized that he was not alone. With Ari's guidance and human ingenuity, they had a chance. Over the next few hours, Rian and Eerie experimented with the station's systems. He showed her how humans designed machines, controlled energy, and solved complex problems with limited resources. She absorbed everything quickly, and together they devised small tests to see what could be done to defend the planet. During one test, a minor malfunction caused a small energy pulse to shoot across the lab. Rian froze, expecting damage, but Eerie laughed, her light glowing brighter. She reached out and stabilized the pulse with her hand, absorbing its energy. Rian stared, amazed. Humans had never seen anything like her. You are incredible, he said, awe in his voice. You humans are incredible, she replied. I learned from you as you learned from me. Together, we can do more than either alone. As the evening deepened into night, Rian felt a strange sense of connection. He realized that their bond was more than just necessity. Eerie was not just an alien visitor. She was a friend, a guide, and a companion. He trusted her in a way he had never trusted anyone. Then, a sudden thought struck him. Eerie, if they are coming, will anyone else know? Can we warn the others? Eerie's glow dimmed slightly. Humans are unprepared. Most do not believe until it is too late. That is why I chose you first. You will be the example. Others will follow your lead. Rian's heart pounded. He was only one person. How could he possibly prepare an entire planet? But then he looked at Eerie, and he saw determination in her eyes. If she believed in him, he could not give up. He would try, no matter the danger. For the rest of the night, Rian and Eerie continued their work. They tested the limits of the station's communication systems, modified sensors, and experimented with energy transmissions. Rian learned that Eerie could sense emotions through the devices, enhancing her abilities. Together, they created a small, precise signal that could reach far into space, a beacon meant to confuse or delay the approaching fleet. Finally, as dawn approached, they rested. Rian leaned against the wall, exhausted but alive with purpose. Eerie floated beside him, her soft glow filling the room with warmth. You have done well today, she said gently in his mind. Tomorrow will be harder. But you will see why humans are worth saving. Rian closed his eyes and nodded. He did not know what the future held, but he knew one thing clearly. He would face it with Eerie at his side. Together, they would discover the strength of humanity and the courage to protect it. As the first rays of sunlight touched the station, Rian felt a mixture of fear, excitement, and hope. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but for the first time, he realized that humans had a power that others could not understand. He smiled faintly at Eerie, who returned the gesture. The strange bond between human and alien had begun, and the journey to save a world was only just starting. Rian woke early to the hum of the station. His mind was heavy, but determined. He had spent the night thinking about Ari's warning. The image of the approaching alien fleet stayed in his thoughts. The maps she had shown him replayed in his mind, lines of stars, ships moving with precision, and the clear danger to the planet below. He knew they could not wait. Eerie was already awake when he entered the common area. Her glow was brighter than usual, filling the room with soft light. She had been monitoring the station's systems and observing the skies for any unusual activity. When she saw him, she smiled faintly, though the calm in her eyes carried urgency. They are closer, she said in his mind. The fleet will reach your planet in days. You must act, Rian nodded. He had a plan, or at least a small start of one. He led Eerie to the station's control room, a space filled with screens, sensors, and communication equipment. The room smelled faintly of metal and ozone. Rian moved with purpose, showing Eerie the panels he had studied for years. This is where we can see everything, he said. Sensors, communications, environmental controls. We can monitor the skies and the planet. Eerie's eyes scanned the room, glowing softly. "You humans are clever," she said. "You make tools that extend your senses. That is why I chose you." Rian felt a mix of pride and nervousness. He wanted to believe he could handle this, but the scale of the threat weighed heavily. He took a deep breath and focused. If anyone could use creativity and intuition, it was humans. He needed to trust his instincts. They began analyzing the data together. Erie showed him how to interpret the energy signatures of the approaching fleet. The ships were unlike anything humanity had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, silent and swift. Every sensor reading suggested that these aliens were efficient and dangerous, capable of destroying cities before humans could respond. "They have observed many worlds," Erie explained. "Most civilizations fall because they act predictably. Humans are unpredictable. That is why you can stop them." Rian absorbed her words. Humans were not the strongest or the fastest, but they had creativity, courage, and emotion. These traits made them capable of actions no other species could predict. He began to understand that their unpredictability could be a weapon. Suddenly, the station alarm sounded, a low, urgent tone that echoed through the corridors. Red lights flashed on the panels. Rian's heart raced. "What is happening?" he asked aloud. Erie placed a hand on his shoulder. The warmth and glow reassured him. "They are testing defenses," she said. "They know something is here. You must act quickly." Rian moved to the main console and started running calculations. He accessed the station's communication systems and broadcast sensors, attempting to send signals into space. His goal was simple: confuse the incoming fleet and delay their attack. Erie assisted, projecting energy patterns and guiding his hands to precise adjustments. Hours passed like minutes as they worked. The control room was filled with the hum of machinery and the quiet glow of Erie's light. Rian's mind raced with possibilities, calculations, and strategies. He felt a strange bond with Erie, not just as a companion, but as a partner in problem-solving. They communicated effortlessly, understanding each other's intentions without words. Then, the first external visual appeared on the main screen. Tiny dots moved across the sensor map, each one a ship approaching the planet. Rian's stomach tightened. The fleet was larger than he had imagined. "They will not stop," he whispered. "We will stop them," Erie replied firmly. "But you must be bold." Rian nodded. Boldness was what humans excelled at. He remembered stories of explorers, inventors, and leaders who faced impossible odds. Humans had survived wars, natural disasters, and cosmic dangers. Maybe, just maybe, they could survive this too. Together, they devised a plan. Rian would use the station's communication arrays to send out a false signal, one that mimicked the planet's defenses at full strength. It was a risky strategy. If the fleet detected the trick, they would accelerate their attack. But with Erie's guidance, he believed it could work. "Are you ready?" he asked. Irai nodded, her glow intensifying. "Ready?" Rian initiated the transmission. Waves of energy pulsed through the station's systems, spreading out into space. Erie focused her abilities, amplifying the signal and directing it with precision. They watched as the dots on the sensor map responded. Some slowed, some veered off course. The fleet was reacting. For a moment, relief washed over Rian. They had managed to confuse the enemy, but he knew this was only the beginning. The fleet would adjust, and they had only delayed the inevitable. Erie reached out and touched his hand. "You have done well, Rian. Humans are clever and brave. That is why I believe in you." Rian looked at her, his eyes filled with determination. "We are just getting started. We need more than cleverness. We need strategy, courage, and speed." "Then you will find it," she replied. "Humans always find it when they must." As they continued to monitor the fleet, Rian received a communication from one of his colleagues outside the station. The team had noticed unusual energy readings and wanted to know what was happening. He hesitated for a moment. How could he explain Irie without causing panic? "I will handle it," he told her. Rian went to the communication terminal and activated a video feed. His colleague, a tall man with dark hair, appeared on the screen. His expression was tense. "Rian, What is going on? Sensors are picking up strange energy signatures. Are we under attack? Rian took a deep breath. We are not under attack yet, but there is a threat approaching. I need you to stay calm and listen carefully. Explain the situation without mentioning Eerie directly, describing the energy signals, the approaching fleet, and the need to act quickly. He kept the explanation technical, focusing on human problem-solving and strategy. His colleague listened intently, nodding. Understood. We will follow your lead, he said. Rian exhaled, relieved. The team trusted him. That trust would be critical in the coming days. Meanwhile, Eerie floated nearby, observing silently. She projected images of the fleet and the planet's surface, helping Rian visualize every possible scenario. Together, they ran simulations, testing strategies and adjusting plans. Each calculation, each small adjustment, brought them closer to a solution. As night fell on the planet below, Rian felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. The fleet was still approaching and time was running out, but he also felt a strange sense of confidence. With Eerie's guidance, human ingenuity, and courage, they had a chance. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on the main screen. It was different from the fleet's ships, smaller and moving faster. Rian's eyes widened. What is that? He asked. Eerie's glow dimmed slightly. They are scouts. They are observing your planet. They will report back to the fleet. You must act quickly before they alert the others. Rian nodded. He moved to the console and began rerouting energy from the station's sensors to create a false impression. He worked quickly, calculating trajectories, timing, and signal strength. Eerie guided him, her thoughts precise and clear. The small scout ships approached the planet, scanning for life and defenses. Rian's modifications worked. The signals from the station made it appear as if the planet was heavily fortified. The scouts paused, confused by the readings. Then, after several tense moments, they turned away, sending a false report back to the fleet. Rian exhaled in relief. It worked, he whispered. Eerie touched his shoulder. Yes, but this is only the beginning. The fleet will adapt. You must continue to prepare. Rian nodded. He knew she was right. They had bought time, but the battle was far from over. The fate of the planet, and perhaps much more, depended on human courage and ingenuity. As the first light of dawn touched the station, Rian looked at Eerie and smiled faintly. We can do this, he thought. Together, we can do this. Eerie returned the gesture, her glow steady and reassuring. Together, she confirmed. The threat was real, the enemy was approaching, and the challenge was immense. But for the first time, Rian felt the full power of humanity. Creativity, courage, empathy, and determination were weapons no alien fleet could predict. And with Eerie by his side, he believed they could turn the tide. The journey was only beginning. The galaxy was watching, and humans were about to show why they were worth protecting. The desert planet was quiet as dawn broke, but inside the research station, tension filled the air. Rian moved quickly between consoles, checking sensors and recalculating projections. The alien fleet was still approaching, and the small delay they had caused was only temporary. Every second counted. Eerie hovered beside him, her soft glow illuminating the room. She projected images of the enemy ships and the planet's surface, helping Rian visualize their next steps. The two worked together in perfect coordination, as if their minds were connected. They will adapt to our tricks, Eerie said in his mind. We must be ready for more than one move. Humans think differently than others. That is your advantage. Rian nodded. He understood that this battle was not about brute force. It was about creativity, strategy, and courage. Humans had survived against impossible odds before. They would survive again. He turned to the station's control panel and began rerouting energy to the defensive systems. The arrays that usually monitored the planets, whether were now being used as a network of signals to confuse the approaching fleet. Eerie guided him, her fingers hovering in the air, creating patterns of light that Rian could follow. Hours passed as they worked. Rian's colleagues were now assisting him, following his instructions carefully. Each person contributed their knowledge, their experience, and their creativity. The station became a hub of human determination. Then, a warning signal flashed on the main screen. A large section of the fleet had changed course, heading directly toward a nearby city. Rian's heart pounded. They could not allow civilians to be caught in the attack. "Eerie. We need a plan to protect them," he said urgently. "You can do this, Rian," she replied. "Humans find solutions when they must. Trust your mind, trust your heart." Rian focused. He remembered old human strategies from history, battles where ingenuity had won over strength. He combined those lessons with Ari's guidance, creating a plan that relied on speed, misdirection, and human creativity. The station's energy arrays were now fully operational. Rian and Iri activated them, sending a complex series of signals into space. The fleet approached, but the signals created illusions of defenses, false ships, and confusing energy fields. Some enemy ships veered off course, some slowed, and a few even retreated temporarily. Rian watched in awe. "It is working," he thought. Erie's glow brightened as she added her power to the system. "Yes, humans think differently, and that is why they are strong. You are proving it now." Despite the small victories, Rian knew the fleet would adapt. He needed a plan for direct confrontation, something that used the planet's terrain and human ingenuity to its fullest. He gathered his team and laid out a strategy. "Listen carefully," he said. "The fleet is organized, but they rely on patterns. We can use unpredictability to our advantage. We will use the desert terrain to create traps, distractions, and illusions. Each one of you will play a role. Stay focused, stay creative, and stay alive." The team nodded. They trusted him, and that trust was a weapon in itself. As they prepared, Iri floated near a large console. She projected images of the fleet and the city, showing Rian the best positions for the defensive arrays. Then she hesitated, her glow dimming slightly. "Rian, the enemy will send scouts and spies," she warned. "They will try to find weaknesses. You must act carefully. Your unpredictability is your only shield." Rian nodded. He understood the stakes. Every action had consequences. One mistake could cost lives. He felt a surge of determination. Humans had survived for centuries because they adapted, learned, and acted boldly. Now was the moment to prove it. As the enemy fleet drew closer, Rian and his team implemented their plan. Energy fields lit up the desert, creating illusions of fortified positions and moving defenses. Small drones projected decoy signals, confusing the enemy sensors. Iri added her power, enhancing the illusions and creating shimmering fields that made it difficult for the fleet to target the planet accurately. The first wave of enemy ships arrived, scanning for life and defenses. They fired energy pulses at the city, but the illusions misled them. The pulses missed their targets, striking empty desert plains instead. The city remained untouched. Rian watched from the control room, his heart racing. He could feel the tension in the air, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. But he also felt a sense of pride. Humans were using their greatest strength, creativity, and courage. Iri floated beside him, her glow steady and reassuring. "You are doing well," she said. "Humans are strong because they do not follow patterns. You are proving it now." The second wave of ships approached, larger and more organized. They seemed to anticipate the illusions, adjusting their attacks. Rian and his team quickly adapted, changing the energy patterns and redirecting the decoys. The battle became a game of strategy and wits, a contest of intelligence rather than brute force. Hours passed, and the night deepened. The city remained safe, thanks to human ingenuity and Ari's guidance. Rian felt a surge of confidence. Humans were unpredictable, capable of thinking outside the rules, and that unpredictability was the key to survival. Suddenly, one of the enemy ships broke through the illusions and fired a pulse at the station. Rian acted immediately, rerouting energy and activating emergency shields. The pulse struck the barriers, creating a bright flash but causing no damage. The team cheered quietly. They had survived the first direct attack. Eerie projected an image of the fleet in his mind, showing him the movements of the remaining ships. Rian, you must act now. Humans can end this before more harm comes. Your courage and creativity are needed. Ray nodded. He took a deep breath and initiated a final series of actions. Using the station's arrays, he created a complex interference pattern, sending signals that mimicked a large, hidden defensive fleet. The enemy ships hesitated, confused by the illusion. Then, one by one, they began to retreat. Sure of the planet's true defenses, Rian watched, amazement and relief filling him. The fleet was falling back. The city was safe, and human ingenuity had won the day. Erie's glow brightened, bathing the room in light. You did it, Rian. Humans are strong because they adapt, because they think, and because they care. You have shown your true strength. Rian exhaled, exhausted but proud. He looked at his team, each of them tired and wary, but safe. He felt a deep sense of connection to them, to humanity, and to Irie. Together, they had faced impossible odds and survived. Humans are incredible, he whispered aloud. Thinking of all the people who had trusted him and worked with him, Irie floated beside him, her expression gentle. Yes, and now the galaxy must see it too. Humans are rare, but they are capable. You have begun to show that, Rian nodded. He knew the battle was not over, but he had learned something important. Human courage and creativity could overcome even the most advanced threats. The galaxy might underestimate them, but humans had something no other species could replicate. As the first light of morning touched the desert planet, Rian felt hope. The enemy fleet had retreated, but the lessons of the day would remain. Humans were strong, not because of weapons or numbers, but because of their ingenuity, empathy, unpredictability. Irie looked at him, her glow soft and reassuring. You are ready for what comes next. Humans can change the future, and you will lead the way. Rian smiled faintly. Together, he and Irie had shown the power of humanity. The journey was far from over, but now they knew the strength they carried within. The planet was safe, for now. The human spirit had prevailed, and the galaxy was watching. The morning sun rose over the desert planet, painting the sand in warm shades of gold and red. Rian stood at the large window of the research station, looking out at the empty horizon. The alien fleet had retreated during the night, leaving the planet untouched. For the first time since Irie had appeared, he allowed himself to breathe freely. Irie floated beside him, her soft glow reflecting in his eyes. She was silent for a moment, studying the desert and the distant mountains. Her presence had become comforting, almost familiar, like a guide he could always rely on. You saved the city, she said in his mind. You acted quickly, bravely, and creatively. Humans are remarkable. Rian turned to her, feeling a mix of pride and relief. We did it together. You guided me, and I guided the team. We all did our best. Irie smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the sunlight. Yes, but your people's strength is more than tools or numbers. It is your heart, your mind, and your courage. You showed that clearly. Rian looked down at his hands, still feeling the energy of the previous battle coursing through his memory. He had faced a threat unlike anything he had imagined, yet humans had prevailed. He realized something important. Humans were special not because of power, because of their ability to act in unexpected ways, to create and to protect what mattered. I never thought humans could be so important to the galaxy, Rian admitted quietly. Irie touched his shoulder gently. Humans are rare. Most species are predictable and limited. Your unpredictability and creativity make you a force. That is why I came to you. Rian felt a sudden question rise in his mind. Then your mission, your reason for being here. It is not just to warn us, is it? Irie nodded slowly. I was sent to observe and protect. Your species holds potential that others do not understand. If humans can survive and grow, they can change the course of the galaxy. That is why I chose you. You represent that potential. Jan's heart raced. The weight of her words was immense. He had thought of himself as just a scientist on a remote planet, but now he realized he had become part of something far greater. Humans were not just another species. They were a unique force in the universe. Suddenly, a signal came from the control room. The remaining fleet ships had been detected moving away, regrouping in deep space. The immediate danger had passed, but Rian knew the galaxy was vast and filled with unknown threats. He had no illusions of safety. "We have time for now," he said aloud, "but we cannot stay idle. We must prepare." Eerie nodded. "Yes, preparation is important. You must teach others, guide them, and show them the strength of humans. That is your next step." Rian felt a mix of determination and anxiety. Teaching others, guiding them, and preparing humanity for the challenges ahead was a monumental task. Yet he also felt inspired. Humans had survived countless hardships on their own planet, could adapt, grow, and overcome anything when united by purpose and courage. Over the next few hours, Rian and Irie worked together to send out signals of warning and guidance. Using the station's advanced communication systems, they reached neighboring research stations and human colonies, explaining the threat and offering strategies to protect themselves. Eerie assisted, her energy amplifying the transmissions and ensuring clarity across vast distances. The response was remarkable. Humans from different stations began to coordinate, sharing resources, intelligence, and ideas. Rian watched in awe. As his species demonstrated creativity, empathy, and cooperation, he felt a deep sense of pride. Humanity was not just capable of surviving, it was capable of thriving. As evening approached, Rian and Irie sat together in the observation room. The desert stretched endlessly before them, calm and quiet after the chaos of the day. The sky was a deep blue, dotted with stars that hinted at countless worlds beyond their own. "Rian," Ri said gently, "the time will come when I must return to my people. My mission here is complete." Rian felt a sudden pang of sadness. The bond he had formed with her over the past days was strong. She was not just a guide. She had become a friend, a companion who had trusted him and believed in humans when even he had doubted. Will you leave?" he asked quietly. Eerie nodded. "Yes, but this is not the end. I will carry the story of your courage back to my people. They will know that humans are capable of remarkable things. Someday we may meet again." Rian looked out at the stars, feeling a mixture of hope and sorrow. "I understand. You have shown me something important. Humans are stronger than we think, and I will make sure we continue to grow." Eerie reached out and placed her hand on his. The warmth and glow reassured him, even as she prepared to depart. "I believe in you, Rian, and I believe in your people. Remember what you have learned. Use it wisely." Rian nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "I will, I promise." As night fell, Irie's glow began to fade. Slowly she rose into the air, her form becoming smaller and brighter until she was a streak of light moving toward the stars. Rian watched silently, a sense of awe filling his chest. He felt the bond between them still present, even across the vastness of space. When she disappeared from view, Rian turned back to the observation window. The desert was silent, peaceful, and still. Yet he knew the galaxy had changed for him, for humanity. They had faced a threat unlike any other, and humans had prevailed because of creativity, courage, and the willingness to act. Over the next days, Rian worked tirelessly to coordinate human efforts. He shared the strategies and lessons he had learned with other stations and colonies, emphasized human ingenuity, adaptability, and empathy as their greatest weapons. Humans responded with energy, determination, and collaboration. Rian realized that humanity's strength was not in technology alone, but in the combination of mind, heart, and will. One evening, after weeks of preparation and guidance, Rian returned to the observation room. The desert stretched endlessly, calm under the starlit sky. I felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Humans had survived the immediate threat. They had learned from experience, and they were ready to face whatever came next. Rian smiled faintly, remembering Irie's words. Humans can change the future, and you will lead the way." He felt the truth of her belief resonate within him. Humanity was capable of more than they realized. They could adapt, innovate, and protect not only themselves but countless worlds. As he looked at the stars, Rian felt a sense of connection to the universe. It was vast, dangerous, and full of unknown challenges. Yet humans had something unique: creativity, courage, empathy, and unpredictability. These traits made them a force that no alien fleet could fully understand or control. He whispered softly, as if speaking to Eerie across the distance of space, "Thank you. You showed me what we can do. You will not forget." And in that moment, Rian knew that humanity's journey was only beginning. They had faced danger, shown courage, and revealed the strength of their species. The galaxy had witnessed the beginning of something remarkable. Humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, protectors, and a force to be reckoned with. The desert planet was calm, the stars above bright and infinite. Rian stood silently, filled with hope and determination. The alien girl had come into his life for a reason, and now that reason had been fulfilled. Humanity had survived, grown, and learned. And as long as humans could think, feel, and act with courage and creativity, they would continue to shine across the stars. The galaxy was watching, and humans were ready to show their true strength.